Hello guys, welcome to a new video on Tower of God New World. And in this video, I'm going to do the character review for Yama. Before starting, I just want to share a few things going on behind the scenes. And well, mainly is that I'm working on the counters tab and the team building columns for an investment tab. I already shared some information on those in some previous videos. And it's taking a lot of time, a lot more than I anticipated. So that's kind of the reason why I didn't upload any videos in the past days. I was busy trying to fill in as much information as I could. So I'm sorry for that. And hopefully I can finish them by the end of the week. That's also why I decided to anticipate a bit the card review videos, because if all goes well, I will release those videos during the weekend, and then on Monday or Tuesday we will have the kit reveal of the new unit, so that wouldn't leave any space for the card reviews, and that's why I'm releasing them now. So today will be Yama's turn, and tomorrow Kasana. And yeah, I'm also testing Bari on a lot of units just to see if there are any that can now be playable again. It's kind of tricky for me to actually uh, accurately pinpoint those units, but I'm doing my best. I'm trying some units that are lower down in the tier list to see if running Bari has any impact on their performance. But it's again quite tricky to accurately pinpoint who is getting a huge buff out of Bari. I'm doing my best, and I will also be updating the tier list hopefully soon. I don't know if it will be this weekend or probably after the new unit is coming out. I don't know, but I will definitely do the tier list update at the very least for Yama and Kasano. I don't think my opinion on them is going to change that much after doing some more testing. And yeah, that's more or less all I wanted to say. And I would say we can get started with the usual points. So I'm going to talk about how good Yama is. Then we're going to look at the skills, Revolution, Exclusive Keyman Gear, Ignition Weapon, Rapport, and finally some team recommendations. That's kind of the plan. We're going to get started immediately with the first point. So how good is Yama? I will say that Yama was quite a big disappointment in general. I mean, his kit on paper is really solid. The thing is, his survivability is just trash. You cannot really play him without running Bari or Alocasia at best. Those are the two best sets that you can run, and that's just a bit unfortunate, I would say. But if he can survive up to the first special move, then he is somewhat fine. Like I saw his survivability being quite okay after the first special move. So Barry works really, really well because it kind of guarantees it if you have a Rainbow 5 Yama. I wouldn't recommend going for this guy. I think it's kind of a waste of resources to be pulling for a Rainbow 5 tank that is just passable, I would say, because his kit has amazing utility. Kind of like it could have been better, but overall his kit is pretty good, and we're going to see that in a second. But yeah, it's not like an insane unit. It's not something that you desperately need in any account. It's just okay. I I don't know if I'm being harsh or not. You will tell me guys in the comments. I think I cannot give him a super high rank, but at the same time, I cannot give him a low rank because his kit is still really good. If he survives, he provides a lot to the team. But I don't know. I don't know, guys. This guy was really a disappointment. Not much we can say. So if you're in doubt, I would say, guys, skip him. There is no real need to go for a tank that struggles staying alive, which is the only thing that a tank should do. But in the best case scenario, if you can keep him alive, then he is definitely uh, a solid unit. It's not insane. It doesn't provide insane value, but he has a solid kit. That's all I can say. And yeah, I would say it's time to have a look at the skills so that we can understand why I'm saying this. And here we have the King of the Canines, so the passive. This is not bad. It gets a 40% physical resistance and magic resistance increase, and then creates a canine zone around him. Is then going to get 80% attack for each ally in the zone, and his defense increases by 80% for each enemy in the zone. Max 3 stacks excluding summon beings. He is also immune to fear and knockback during the battle. Now, this effect is not bad. The additional resistances are nice early on if you don't have, like, if you cannot get 100% resistances reliably, but later on is just fine to protect a bit from peers and other things. But it will still die regardless, even if he has 150, 160% resistances, it will still get one shotted because, again, you always take the 1% damage, and that's more than enough to just kill him. So even if the enemies don't have peers or anything, they're still going to destroy you, which is a bit disappointing, but it's okay. It's a good thing. It helps building. Uh, it makes building a bit easier. The attack increase doesn't really matter, even though it has a nice attack, but you would have to build a lot of frontline units for this to work, which is not something you normally do, at least on a blue team. Then we have the defense part. This is the most important one. This is going to improve his durability quite a bit, but again, not really enough. And if we look at the revolution upgrade, I think we can already comment on that. The increase is going to improve for both the attack and the defense. Is going to go up to 140% in both, which is a respectable amount. With 3 stacks is 420, so that's definitely really, really good. And the effects from this skill cannot be removed. So the 40% resistances cannot be removed. This is really solid. But again, resistances were not important. You would still want to run 100% resistances regardless. So that's kind of the thing. And then we have the first active skill, Shiver with Fear. Is going to gaze, like Yama is going to gaze at enemies within the canine zone and is going to inflict a debuff for 8 seconds that decreases enemies' attack by 80% and reduces their energy by 40 every second. This 40 is a bit low. It won't really have a major impact on the enemies. They will still cast their special move like crazy, but it is still something, I would say. Then we also have the counterattack portion of the skill. So when an enemy attacks Yama, when an enemy within the canine zone attacks Yama, is going to be counterattacked. Does it matter? No, really. I would say it's just a whatever counterattack. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have a lot of damage. Then we have sort of the grab skill that he has. He's going to swing his right arm towards the furthest enemy, dealing damage to all enemies in its path, and then pull enemies outside of the canine zone towards him. And whenever he is hit, he's going to reduce this cooldown by 1 second. Now, the pull strength is a bit low, so if the enemy is really far away, they're going to slightly move towards Yama, but not much. You will probably need, I would say, 3 to 4 casts before you can get someone that's really outside of your zone to stand inside of it. So it's not that reliable, but it is still okay, I would say. Better than not having anything. Then we have the most important skill in his kit, I would say, and that is the special move. He's going to enter a stance for 6 seconds that provokes enemies and won't allow him to do anything basically. It's just going to charge up for 6 seconds. During this time, all the status effects are negated, so he's going to be immune to them, and incoming damage is decreased by 80%. This is where most of his durability is coming from, together with the attack decrease from Shiver from Fear, the other active skill. So it's not a bad effect. It's quite like it gets quite tanky when he's inside of this effect, and he's also then going to deal AoE damage to enemies and knocking them up. Then he's also going to have an increase to the attack coefficient every time he's hit, max 20 stacks. This can get to a very high number, so it's up to 3200% attack. Is that important? Whatever. He can deal some nice damage, but it's really too difficult to make him work as a carry. Is just additional damage at best. Then he has his Revolution 5, which is weird. From my point of view, they should have just doubled down on tankiness. I don't know why they added damage here, but whatever. It's going to give him 20% special move pierce, and then up to an additional 80% if he reaches the 20 stacks. So that's up to 100% special move pierce. It is good. but it's not something you really need from Yama. You want him to tank. I don't know why they tried to make him a hybrid DPS. I don't think it really made a lot of sense. So to me, it's just an okay kit. Like the base version doesn't really offer too much, but once we have a look at the exclusive equipment, you will see just how good of a kit it actually has. But first, let's have a look at the revolution. So let's go there. We already mentioned the two main nodes, so not many things to mention there. I would say effect resistance is a nice effect to have on this kind of units. HP recovery is not needed because he already has it, but if you really want to, you can do it. Attack, I wouldn't bother. I wouldn't rely on Yama to deal damage, so whatever. I increased crit hit resistance just to see if it had any effects. And I would say it is a bit tankier because at my floor, enemies have 95% crit rate. So having this 90% decrease brings it down to 5%, which improved Yama's durability quite a bit. Is it still enough? No, I don't think so. Even without it, it would be like is a bit more consistent with 20 levels on this one, but it doesn't really change too much. Defense is pretty good, is a really important node to have. It's going to boost its durability quite a bit. I would say way more than this crit hit resistance. And that's more or less it. You could go for a bit of max cooldown reduction. You could go for a bit of special move resistance, but it's not really something I would bother with, to be honest. It's really not worth that much investment. I'd say effect resistance, defense, and if you really want to, crit hit resistance. I wouldn't waste purple math on this guy. So you can also stop at D5. And yeah, that's more or less it for Evolution. Let's have a look at the exclusive equipment. He gets physical resistance as the additional stat, but he also gets it from the passive, so it's not too important. What's really important is the effects that we have here. They are all really good, I would say. The first one is a 10% max HP recovery every second while the skill is active, which is 8 seconds. So it's 80% HP recovery. Not too bad, especially considering he's running Bari most of the times, and he should be tanking quite a few hits. So really good, I would say. Then we have level 2. This is a nice additional effect, a 40% defense shred on the enemies that are afflicted with the Shiver with Fear effect. And these, like all of these, are affecting the same active skill. For some reason, they decided to buff it, and they're all quite good buffs. So level 3 is a physical resistance decrease by 20%, not the highest. It's actually quite low, but it's still better than nothing, I would say. So overall, nice level 3 as well. And probably the most important one is level 4. So whenever you use the special move, you immediately activate Shiver with Fear, which improves his durability quite a lot. So it's going to cast the special move, the enemies will deal 80% less damage, and they will also have 80% less attack thanks to this effect. And the rest of the team is also going to deal increased damage. So overall, really good exclusive equipment effects. Then if we go over the gear, there isn't much to mention, just go slot 4 and that's it. The rest is just if you care about evasion or accuracy, or if you need to build them, then go ahead. Crit rate and crit damage doesn't matter from my point of view, so you can just skip those. Then for the ignition weapon, let me just maybe go over the section here. I didn't add any notes yet, but I will do it soon. I think Barry is his best in slot because he really gets a lot better after he uses the first special move, and you only need to care about making him survive until then. Afterwards, he's going to do okay on his own, so I think Barry will just be good enough just to survive those few seconds that will let him cast the special move. Alocasia is a good second option. It also has a lot of evasion to help with survivability. You don't really care too much about the extra damage, but I will say one thing about Alocasia, and that is it kind of doesn't work well with the way this guy is designed, because if you saw from the special move and one of the two active skills, this guy kind of wants to be hit so that it increases his own damage and reflects some damage. It's not too important because, again, I mentioned You don't really care about this guy's damage. You only want him to survive. So Alokazi is still fine. I think it's a bit against the purpose of this unit. Another set that would be worth mentioning is Mago, because it seems built for him, but it doesn't help with survivability at all, and it will just be trash. That's unfortunate because it could have been an interesting set, but no, definitely not, guys. I would say stick to Bari. It will be fine. Sela is too overkill. It makes no sense. You already have too much, like too many resistances. So it's either going to be Bari or Alokazi. Up to you which one has better stats. But I think Bari uh, is going to be a bit better overall, but doesn't really change much. Then let's see, we have also the rapport topic. I think for this guy, it's just going to be swiftness as the most important. And if you also care about hitting the enemies with your actual damage, then also go level 6. But I would say is not too important. And yeah, that's kind of all. Now all that's left is just talking about some team building. But I will say, in terms of like actual teams, this guy is a tank, so you don't really have any best teams. You can basically slot him wherever you want. He definitely shines more in teams where you need grouping because he has a little bit of it. But yeah, like he's not restricted to any element. It's just a tank. You can slot him in wherever you need him. If you want to go for a full blue team, you usually use a unit like BAM that works pretty well with Yama because Yama tends to group units, and then this guy is going to knock them all up with his pretty huge AoE on his special move. So they're going to be quite good together. You can also run a unit like Dawon. She's going to benefit from the defense decrease that also BAM offers, so it's not too important for that. But he also has the physical resistance decrease that Darwin is going to like. And just in general, with the long provokes, if he stays alive, he's going to draw aggro out of your Darwin, so that's going to be quite good. They don't have the best of synergies, I will say that, but they just do okay. This guy also has cooldown reduction built in his kit, which in turn means more skills, which is more attack for Darwin. So that's also okay. But in general, there's really not much to say here. Like in terms of teams, you can literally slot him in wherever you want. Now a team like this with Blanc also providing some healing for that guy in case he can actually survive long enough to be healed. Who knows? But also the defense buff and stuff is not too bad. So hopefully it gets low enough to be the target of Blanc. It will depend a lot on the enemy composition, who of your team is being targeted. But Yama is pretty okay as a frontline. You could also try and go with some more frontline units, just so that it's also going to increase Yama's attack. That's kind of up to you. His area doesn't provide resistances to allies, like for example an Escanor does. So your close range units will also need to survive on their own. So it's kind of up to you. You could do something weird like this, but there are no real carries here, I'd say. There are just 3 mid units or something. It's kind of up to you guys. It's really difficult unless it's a DPS where I can say what its best team are. Is difficult for tanks because this guy you can literally slot him in wherever you want. Obviously, if a DPS needs grouping, then this guy is going to be quite okay. If the DPS needs the physical resistance decrease, it's going to be okay, but it's only at 20% again, so whatever. He's also going to be overall quite good for the energy decrease. So I would say there are no real best teams for him. You can just use him as you see fit. And yeah, again, not much I can mention here. I will try to put some more information maybe in the spreadsheet that I'm working on with the different tabs. But for now, I'd say there is really not much to say about Yama. It's just a frontline unit. Use him in whichever team needs one. That's all I can say. So yeah, I'm looking forward, guys, to seeing what you feel about this unit in the comments. Let me know if you think I'm underestimating him, if you think I'm overestimating him, because I'm sure there will be some of both. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the comments. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.